ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we'll be reviewing Straight Outta Compton. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today, of course, by the Nizza, Nathaniel Gingrich.
Oh, man, bringing it back, huh?
Bringing it back, baby.
Hello, folks. I am the artist formerly known as the Nizza.
How did you get that again? Because
It's
that is your gamer tag,
Yes.
sorta. I mean, you don't game a lot, but when you do,
yes. It
Called
was
out.
it's
That's not it.
it's from Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
After the RZA, and then I just basically chose it off that. Chose the first letter of my name, N, and then I was the Nizza. That was me. And that was my gamer tag.
I feel like the name the RZA has aged really well in 2023, with Riz kind of coming up in the ranks as a new slang term.
All right, so
Are
this
you guys
is
familiar with the Riz?
vaguely. It is on the outsides of my sphere. It just ducks in every now and then.
It's just entered the radar.
Yeah,
It's just on the outskirts.
Within the
It's
last 2 weeks, I would say it has finally started making itself known.
That's okay. You know what? That's actually pretty good. It's not like this has been around for a year or something. It's been in the last, I would say, 2 months that I've become aware of it. So maybe it has been around a year, and I'm just also getting old. But yeah, the Riz. Ty, Blake, you guys are familiar with W Riz?
So funny enough, I am. Well, one of my buddies from college, who just moved out here maybe about 5 or 6 months ago. His girlfriend lives in Palatine. His last name is Rizu, but we've always just called him Riz since 2014 in college. So that's kind of how I got introduced to that through him. Shout out Cody.
Excellent.
As well
last
as
name.
I'm somehow a massive Capybara fan. There's a lot of capybara posts I see on my Instagram that have to do with Riz. And it's a bunch of capybaras standing next to each other. So I've been slowly able to put it together for the past 3 months. But yeah, that's my introduction to that.
Okay. I like it. Ty, are you familiar? Or is that too far out of the sphere? You're not familiar. Okay. Hasn't hit Instagram Reels yet, I guess. You'll learn about it in 3 months. Riz is just it's kind of like game, but it's more like your natural game. Like looking at a girl in a certain way type of thing. It's not like a pickup line necessarily. It's just more like the game, but like your aura. Like if you just have natural game about your persona.
I think that's called. Is that charisma? So is that?
I was gonna say it's
Riz?
so
Yeah,
when
sure.
somebody says no
basically.
cap or no shot, and that just means no way. Riz means,
and I believe I don't know.
charisma.
I have no idea the origins of it. I also assume, Nathaniel, that it comes from charisma, and it's just short for charisma. I have no idea, but that was my assumption as well. Is that it's charisma, Riz?
That almost
those lines.
That could be too smart.
It sounds like we're slowly adapting a lot of English kind of Cockney way of language, like bees and honey it's money.
Yar.
No. Yeah, is like you hurt.
I mean,
so now we're just adapting.
We could just
charisma,
our language.
Riz.
I think eventually the internet way of speaking is just going to bleed into our language, and that's how just kind of language evolves over time.
It already has. I mean, language. Language never stops evolving, guys. Let's not kill ourselves.
I'm currently trying to learn big ink circles and different patterns.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As a form of communication. So that's the kind of level I'm on.
Intriguing. Yeah. You're a few thousand years ahead of us.
Well, you let me know if we've had this conversation
you're
before.
In the right spot. What'd you say?
I said, Tyler, you let me know if we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Guys, I can finish, naming everybody. MC Trabajo, Tyler Vidalis, is also joining us today.
What's going on?
How you doing?
I'm good.
MC. You ever been an MC or a DJ for anything? Is that any? Have you ever either had the aspiration or done it yourself to like go and like either like DJ a party or host an event or something?
I mean, I like hosting, but
Okay.
it has nothing to do with
More, but like hosting like a thing, you know, not like
I was
people
gonna
over at your place.
say.
like like a moderator of some sort, or like a hosting, like I don't know. You always had the MC at the talent show in high school, like that kind of thing. No, okay,
No.
fair enough.
Are you saying if we
rounding
were
out.
a rap group, would Tyler be the MC of the rap group?
Based on the nicknames from this week, that seems to be the case.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Fair.
Rounding out the squadron, of course, it's the big cat, BlakeHolder.
Oh, see, we went back to the OG. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining us in a rap group, you know, the BRB, NWA. You know, we could kind of just play around with that however we want.
Would you do Aish for yours?
No, I don't feel like that fits the rap game persona.
I mean, you could do like 2 Y's and then obviously it could be a $sign instead of the S.
That's really all you have to do.
Or you could do you know, AYY, and then you could do like the shush emoji, you know.
Oh, there we go.
I like that.
Now we're a Zoomer.
Cooking.
Yeah, now we're a Zoomer rap kid.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's gonna be the natural next evolution. Instead of these $signs and @ signs and whatnot, we're gonna start using emojis into these. I can get behind it.
There's still gonna be people on like Windows phones that won't be able to like type the album correctly.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a little box with a question mark. That's my actual name. Most people know me by.
Speaking of that, I was actually I was in the car. It's maybe Saturday or so. I was at a light. Nice day outside, windows down. Look at the car next to me. You know, he's kind of like browsing around and looking around, and the person in the passenger seat actually had a flip phone.
Nice.
And I almost couldn't believe it. I wanted to take a picture, but then like that would be incredibly rude.
You have no idea how many people come into Best Buy looking to buy flip phones.
Oh yeah,
that was the first time I've seen that, dude. No bullshit, probably like 5 years.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how like many people still want them. The other thing too is like burner phones still come in flip phone options. Like if you don't need to text, you can just do calls.
True.
I had a guy come in one time who was definitely either committing a crime or cheating on somebody because he was like, because you have to create a Best Buy account in order to sell the tracker phones, like the burner phones, or prepaid ones. You have to create a Best Buy account so that the company has some information to base your account off of. Yeah. And he just did not want to create an account. I was like, I have to do it. And he was like, all right, well, my name's Mike Smith. I'm like, okay. He's like, I don't have a phone number to give you. And he made up an email. And then I was like, you know what, dude, you can just use the store's address for your information. Like if you need an address. He's like, yeah, let's do that. I was like, okay, whatever works, man. So yeah, that was really funny, but more people than you think want those flip phones. Simpler times. Guys, what the hell? I'm assuming you guys are all cut up on this. What the hell is happening with these UFOs?
No idea.
It's been like 3 in a week. And I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if I ever sent the video in our group chat, but I posted on my story that one of the big Chinese spy balloon, like the first one that everyone spotted, was over Colombia. Like I saw it. Have video of it. I don't know if I ever sent it in the group chat, but it was like I was walking my friend's dog and it was very clear day, no clouds or anything. I just look up and it was just right above me. I was like, what the hell is, oh, I know what that is actually. It's not, it's a fucking balloon. And then I'm like I like literally just stand there staring at it and taking videos of it. I'm looking around and no one else had noticed it. And it wasn't until like an hour later that I saw a few people post on their feeds, and then it picked up a little bit more, but it was pretty much already gone by then. But I was like, that's so kind of random to be able to see that. But then 3 more since that one. I don't know, dude. I don't know, there's something fishy going on.
Well, I think the Chinese had gotten all of us already from TikTok, except the tops of our heads. And so they sent that guy over just to finally fully map us.
Sure.
In digital form.
So, but those with tinfoil hats are safe.
Yeah. So you're yeah, it's
pays off.
Pays off. as
Okay,
as
I'm gonna
always.
go make my own.
Well,
Might be too late.
You're fine. You just looked at it straight on face to face, so they didn't get.
That's true.
They already had
And I
that.
think I was wearing a hat, so actually, they didn't get anything on me. I'm safe.
Well, at least the top of your head is. So you'll at least be incomplete.
Yeah, the rest of me is screwed, but like the top of my hair, we're good.
Yep.
We're chilling. Yeah.
Not until Will Ferrell's app adapts face back
from what is that?
From
the
other
other
guys.
guys? Yeah, I forgot about that.
face back.
Dude, Will Ferrell was in that Super Bowl commercial, and I was with a bunch of people,
Oh yeah.
and we were looking at it. We were like, "How old is Will Ferrell? He's looking like he's getting up there." And we looked it up, and we were like, "Damn, he's only 55. Like he looks like he's pretty old." And then the Steve Martin commercial came on. I think he was in 1 or 2, and we were like, "How old is that guy? That dude's like 77, and he looks like he's the same age almost as Will Ferrell. He just looks incredible." Because Steve Martin could pass at 60, easy.
He has kept it together.
Yeah.
But then again, like what does he do? Also, I feel like Will Ferrell has also looked 55 for the last 30 years. That's part of the show.
That's very true.
So now that he is just noticeably aging, maybe it's just it's just more aggressive.
He just has always looked older, I guess, than other celebrities in Hollywood, maybe. What were you gonna say about Steve Martin?
I don't know. I like Steve Martin.
Oh, okay.
Nothing but respect for Steve Martin.
I gotcha.
We were talking about UFOs, though. That's where we were. Yeah. I mean, I think they're always there. We just noticed them now.
Yeah.
The balloons you're talking about, or just UFOs in general?
The balloons.
I feel like I would have noticed more.
Well, not specifically that one, but like the one since. I don't know, man.
Maybe.
For me, it's like until we're shutting down again, just let me go to work. I don't need to know about it anymore. Just send me a text message. At the end of the day, we're shutting down for a while, boys. The balloons overhead, sorry. And then that's it. That's all I need to know about the outside world at the moment. I got enough other shit going on.
Nathaniel, were you in a car next to Blake the other day with your flip phone out and just disconnecting from the world? Just not at all paying attention?
Yeah, well, that's my burner phone that I need.
Yeah, okay. All right, Mike Smith. What you up to, man?
Crimes. Lots of crimes.
Does anybody know anybody named Mike Smith?
Probably.
No.
I do.
Do you?
Whoa.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did he need a flip phone recently?
I don't know. There's a guy I went to elementary school with. Couldn't tell you what that guy's doing.
Simulation.
Daniel, care to comment on the simulation theory?
I think it would make sense that someone with the name Mark Smith, it proves that it's a common name. That guy chose well. So
yeah.
I think he's kind of proving his point there, not making it a simulation. It's not repeating randomly. He just chose a good average name.
That's true. That's true. All right.
Only an NPC would have a name like Mike Smith.
That is a very NPC name.
The kid's a bot.
Things performing as expected are not signs of the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen.
Calling people NPCs is always funny.
It's hilarious. It is so funny. All right, well let's move into what we're watching here, fellas. Nathaniel, want to kick us off here?
Oh gosh, what have I been watching? Let's see. Well, I very recently was watching Straight Outta Compton. Minutes ago, you could say. But what else did I watch? I watched a lot of Forged in Fire this week. It was a good, just kind of background show, as it always is. And I just randomly noticed that Netflix had updated it with all of season 8. And so I threw it on. pretty much, I think. It might be the most recent one. It was at least one I hadn't seen before, and that was all I was looking for, Adam. So
Okay, fair enough.
I threw that on. I watched Mark Maron's new special on HBO, From Bleak to Dark. It's an hour-long stand-up bit, and it's good. It's good dark humor. I like it a lot. He kind of makes a point of being like, hey, the anti-woke comedians are a hack, and this is how you make actual good dark comedy. And that's funny and good. So go check that out. What else did I get to? I watched the Super Bowl. That was a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Did anyone else feel like it wasn't as hyped up this year as it has been in years
I
past?
feel like it's been slowly going down the past couple
Is
years.
it going the way of the Oscars?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The other thing too that has just fallen off a super high cliff is Super Bowl commercials. Like they are just not good anymore.
That for sure.
The past 6 years, 5-6 years, like I just have been. There's nothing to look forward to with the commercials. None of them are like, oh, you missed this one or you missed that one, and I don't know what it is, but they're just not. They're just not entertaining anymore. They're not as creative as they used to be.
I need to hear Tyler's opinion, but I think he stepped away from the mic right now.
He is a AFK or AFM
Away from Mike.
away from Mike.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I got to the UFC. There was a fight night this weekend. Alex Volkanovski, who was the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, was fighting the pound for pound #2 fighter in the world, Islam Makhachev, who was up a weight class, and they are both champions of their respective weight classes. And unfortunately, Volkanovski did not get the job done, though it was a very, very close fight, and he actually still remains pound for pound #1 in the world, to other people's chagrin. But it was really good. Really, really good fight. Sublime, I would say. Artistry in motion. Recommend everyone to watch. Yeah, other than that, I got to the newest episode of Gamey Game, which is a YouTube show that I watch about games, which really the gaming is not the big part of it. It's mostly just watch people make fun of things. But yeah, it was really good. And yeah, that's it for me. I'm going to kick it over to Blake.
Yeah, didn't watch much. Watched the Super Bowl. Actually had a Super Bowl party, so I invited Nathaniel and Ty over for that. So they had some plans to situate at Adam. You would have gotten an invite, but I know you're not located in Illinois.
Fair enough.
Didn't shoot you a message. But that was pretty cool. Didn't go as planned. I would have preferred to see the Eagles win.
Yeah.
But we'll see. They got a good team. I'm sure they'll make it back. So outside of that, I watched Ratatouille.
Heyo.
Hey.
Today. Yeah. I was like, I need something. I opened Disney Plus for the first time in a long time. Contemplating what I wanted to put on, and I was deciding between Ratatouille and Lilo and Stitch.
Nice.
Take Ratatouille. Awesome movie, man. Haven't seen that in probably 5 or 6 years, and that may be one of Pixar. I think that's Pixar.
It is.
That may be one of their best. I'm not gonna lie to you, fellas.
Ratatouille's great, bro.
Yeah, off rewatching that may be like jump into my top 3.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Top 3 Pixar films?
Oh, for sure. Including
Is it
Disney
Pixar?
too. Pixar and Disney.
It is
So-
Pixar, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is.
But yeah,
It is-
that
yeah,
one,
it's gotta
I think
be up
that's like
there.
06, 07. I know I saw that in theater. when I was little. Is it
07.
9? 07.
07.
That's what it
Yeah.
is.
I remember this
Yeah.
was a big one when like
Was that when you were born?
no, that's when I quote unquote came online, as I think Nathaniel used one time.
Yes.
Yeah, coming online and you can actually like remember things, but that's like the film 2007. I was in kindergarten, but like everyone for their birthdays, I had like 2 or 3 birthday parties that were let's go see Ratatouille, And it's like
Really?
you get you get like a group of like 12 kids together, and then you get your little square thing of like that has like the popcorn, a small soda,
Yeah,
and a little thing of candy.
your
Yeah, like
little
those.
your
Yeah,
little movie bento box.
yeah, exactly. I went to like 2 or 3 Ratatouille parties like that, so that was fun. That's how I'll remember that movie.
Ratatouille is great. I don't think Megan is Danielle and Maricella's sister. She's the
Yes.
middle one. She's obsessed with Ratatouille. So I don't know if she listens, but Megan, if you're listening, shout out. Ratatouille's great, and you know it.
Ratatouille is great.
Is that like her Frozen tie?
I think so. I remember
Yeah.
one time she was just like, this is like kind of when I first started hanging out with them.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Oh my god, I love it," and I was like, "Well, bet I have like 3 copies. Do you want one?" And she was like, "Get the fuck out of here." She's like, "I don't own it." I was like, "You can literally have it." She's like, "Oh my god, that would like be the best thing ever." So I gave her a copy.
Nice.
Back Row Banter, early days.
Yep.
Just distributing film.
All right.
Who we
Like
up
anything
to?
else besides the Super Bowl?
No, that was really it.
Ty, anything?
Yeah, I
You got a
few.
you got a 2-weeker.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put everything on there because a lot of it's just like my my binge.
Okay.
But yeah, Will and Grace still pushing through that.
Yeah.
Very repetitive show at this point. You basically know everything. But yeah, we're gonna get through it. Still some funny one-liners.
Yeah.
Naruto is just still like I'm back in it. I'm like full blown.
It's come
ready
back
to,
round.
yeah, like if I have a daughter, I'm naming it like Hinata, and if I have a son, I'm naming it Naruto. Like that's how deep we are right now.
Fair.
And I just love it. And it might be a close second to name my kid Rock Lee.
Broccoli.
Fair.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought you said broccoli.
No. Bushy brow. But yeah, only those of you that watch that show will understand that reference. I saw an old friend who still listens to the pod. Shout out Kendeezy.
Yo, what up, Kendall?
What up, Kendall?
He is a Best Buy alum.
Yes, sir.
And,
was he visiting back home from Cali?
He's home. We'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be nice to have his company more than I've been able to have it in the last like year and a half, 2 years, because
For sure.
we obviously have a really good friendship, and that's my boy. So he actually came over, and it was Thursday night because I ended up having to work 6 days last week, hence why I was not here. And we ended up getting around to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, because he has not seen it yet.
Nice.
That's on Disney Plus, right?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, it should be there already.
So that was a good rewatch. I think I liked it. I like it equally as much, but obviously I liked it the first time more.
Sure.
But like my overall status change on it hasn't changed. It's not like it dropped it. I just enjoyed myself a little bit more the first time.
Gotcha.
Obviously the Super Bowl. I did not host a party this year, otherwise you guys probably would have been here. I could not make it to Blake's party. But I did end up getting over to Matt and Sal's place and drank a little too much and stayed a little too late, which is why I didn't make it to Blake's party. So yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, and honestly, I really didn't give a shit about the outcome. I really don't like either team. I think Philly is just one of the most disgusting fan bases on the face of the planet.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that for sure. I think they're that way for like all sports though, like baseball, basketball, hockey. Yeah,
it's just Philly
for sure.
And the only good thing that ever came out of Philly was Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
And Rocky.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yep.
All right, cool.
Check.
Yeah, Rocky's great.
Yeah.
And then I just don't care for Patrick Mahomes, like at all. So
Really? Is there a reason?
I think it's just his fucking face.
Fair enough.
I really don't know. I don't like him.
He does suffer from punchable face syndrome.
He
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
As lots
And
of
his-
sports stars do. I mean, that's just a thing. You
Yeah.
know? I
Yeah.
mean, people do, but
And his brother's even worse.
His brother is.
So.
I do feel like his brother casts an unfairly large shadow on poor Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes.
he takes up more attention
Yeah.
than I think.
Yeah, he
really
catches
should.
a lot of my hate for Patrick is because of his brother. Like
For
you're
sure.
related, so like it's definitely your fault too.
Man catches a few
I
strays.
think a lot of people are on that same train, Tyler. And I even catch myself on that train too. But then I'm also like, if I was like 16, I don't know how old he is, but if I was 16 and my brother is Patrick Mahomes, like what 16-year-old is cool and their brother is a fucking superstar?
Yeah,
You know?
facts.
So it's like,
Yeah,
but still.
he's
it's
a
definitely
little
not.
older than that. I think he's 19, 20.
Oh, okay. That kind of makes a little
But
more
around, it's still same point applies. I mean, still pretty young.
Facts.
Everyone's a
And
moron.
then the last two things we got around to are actually fairly newer. We did start The Last of Us. We are caught up.
Let's go.
I
You already
am,
caught up?
Yeah. I
Leah's watched
tried.
it with you?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
I really tried to try and hold off for like the binge factor, but I just couldn't. I was hearing too many
It's
good things, and
It's great week to week. It's great
yeah,
week to week.
and I've been loving Pedro because he's
Mhm.
daddy, and
He literally.
yeah, and I love it, and I love him, and it's been really great so far, and I'm really glad that I really like the zombie genre. It was something that I grew very close to with The Walking Dead, especially because I was also reading the comic books at the same time that the show was starting.
Yeah.
And then The Walking Dead just kind of shot itself in the foot, and it's just a pile of dog shit now. But it's neither here nor there. And,
Yeah,
Is that
The
show
Last of Us
still
feels
on?
like it's picked up where The Walking Dead hit its peak almost. Like where The Walking Dead
Sure.
kind of caught its most attention. It feels like The Last of Us weirdly was like where people wanted The Walking Dead to go after, season 5 or around season 5, 6.
yeah,
Feels like this was like the natural next step that people wanted out of The Walking Dead somehow that like they never got, but like it also feels like we just kind of left off at season 5, 6 of The Walking Dead, and like everyone's right back on board to be on another zombie show, like same
Facts.
hype level and everything. It just doesn't feel like any time has passed between, that time, what it was, like 8 years ago now, like 2015, 2016, and now it feels like it's just kind of been, we
Agreed.
forgot about it, but we're still there,
Yeah, and I had the regular storyline of zombies, whether it's from like viral, bacterial kind of
Sure. Yeah,
infection,
yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that this is fungi, because I did not play the games, so I'm familiar with
that is-
the
Forgot
fungus
that you haven't played the games.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with the fungus that takes over
Mhm.
insects, because that's actually that's just like weird
Nature thing.
Animal Planet shit that I
Yeah.
would just watch.
Of course.
For
And
sure.
then get called weird for knowing that fact. But
No, that's a cool fact to know.
yeah, I think so. I think a lot of my random facts are. So I really don't give a shit. But but yeah, so it's really cool to see that play out instead of kind of like your typical zombie apocalypse. But it's very cool. It's very fun. I'm having a lot of fun with the characters and the storyline. Are you guys caught up?
Nope.
I am. Nathaniel,
Where are
I'm gonna
you at,
slap
Nathaniel?
you. I'm gonna drive 6 hours just to slap you.
Oh, bring it, bro. I am blessedly unwatched. I have not delved into
okay.
the Last of Us. yet.
Ashamedly unwatched.
Unashamedly.
No, ashamedly.
Loud and
Yeah.
proud. Brashly, I would
You're
say.
shameful.
You should be ashamed.
Bravadoli.
That is that's been
I'm
a lot
glad
of
you're
fun.
liking it. How does
Yeah.
Leah like it?
She likes
'Cause I'm
the
assuming-
storyline a lot. There are
Yeah.
obviously some gory parts where she's kind of like, "What the fuck?" But
Mm. It's not too bad, honestly.
Yeah,
It could be worse.
It's not crazy. It could absolutely be worse.
I feel like that needs to be like Leah's very own stamp of what the fuckness. Like, how many what the fucks does the movie get? Is its own meter, its own gore meter for itself.
I think it's how closed are Leah's eyes? Are they just wide open at like a scale of 5? One is like they're all the way closed. You know, like where are we on like how much she's covering her
eventually
face,
the hands go completely off the chart, and
and then like the highest thing is she's left a room. You know, she just can't even hear it.
I need the WTFO meter.
Yeah.
And then You has come out.
Yes.
And we are
only the first half though, right?
Yeah,
season?
5 episodes, which we are through
already. Shit.
Yep. So that's also been a ton of fun, and thoroughly enjoy those shows or that show. The rest of the seasons prior to this, and this has been quite the roller coaster. So yeah, we're excited for part 2. I think it comes out like early March, mid-March, March 9th. That rings a bell in my head for some odd reason. So we'll go with that. But yeah, other than that, that's all I've been watching, and we're having a ton of fun.
Cool.
I think you're the last one.
Yeah, I think so too. I only got a few things. I also watched The Last of Us. Episodes 4 and 5. Ty, what's your favorite episode so far? A lot of people saying 5. Like a lot of people like this most recent episode.
Yeah, 5 isn't bad, but I really, really enjoyed 3.
I was about to say I still think 3 is the best.
Yeah.
5 is they're very different. 5 is very good for like this 5 is when it kind of fully felt like a zombie show, and like you got the full zombie experience really out of The Last of Us.
Agreed.
And so like that's a good reason to like it, but as far as like an actual episode of the show and TV, 3 was still my favorite.
Yeah. I think they're pretty neck and neck.
Yeah, and what's funny is they're sandwiched by 3 and 5 are sandwiched by 4, which is I think universally most people will consider that like the most boring episode. I say boring. It's not like it's bad or anything, but it's like of the quality of all 5 episodes that are out, everyone seems to agree 4 is kind of at the bottom. It's just more of a developmental episode, not necessarily filler, but it just sets up a lot where they kind of slow things down finally, because it's been episodes 1 through 3 happen very fast, and so it finally just kind of slows the events down of the story and fleshes a few things out, sets up the events of episode 5, and more. So, but yeah, both those episodes, the series is fucking awesome, and it's so great to hear so many people on board with it. Like my screenwriting professor was talking about our next project, like an adaptation. He brought up The Last of Us. He's like, yeah, I've never played the games, but this show is really good. I'm like, yeah, it is. And like, there's so many other people I know. I think Papa Schwartz has hopped on. He's really enjoying it. He's, I think I mentioned that last week, but yeah, I'm just glad everyone's kind of giving it a shot, regardless if they've seen it or not, and enjoying it too.
Yeah, to speak on Papa Schwartz, he said he joined on. He's tagged on. I was talking to my dad at my Super Bowl party. He came over as well. Both my parents did, but my dad's been watching it, and he told me that he watched it, and I was like, no, it's actually a game that's like held as one of the better games that's come out in like 10 or so years. But yeah, my dad's like, it's a great show.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, I think everyone here should be on it. Thank you, Tyler, for being the first one to finally jump on.
Yeah,
and Nathaniel, I'm gonna slap you.
We appreciate father approvals.
Yes, we too. The Papa approvals do mean a lot. So, Papa Holder, thank you. Let's see what else did I get to. Super Bowl, of course. What do you guys think of the halftime show?
So I have to say that I loved it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's Rihanna, and Rihanna is one of Carolia's favorite artists. So I did actually like it. I didn't think it was bad. I don't know why she's catching a lot for it, but Rihanna's a fucking badass, bro.
She is.
And she just got done having a kid, and I guess she was also like 2 months pregnant again. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors going around.
I don't know if anyone knows because I also heard that it's like, oh no, her body is just still recovering from the pregnancy, and
Yeah,
that's whatever it's
I'm
called.
very mixed on what the details are, but I think she killed it, and I actually
Yeah.
like a lot of her songs, and have seen a couple funny memes out there of it being like a Super Smash
The
Bros.
Super
stage.
Smash Bros. Stage, it's
That
great.
shit's funny as fuck, and
the people were making those memes. I was like watching the third quarter of the Super Bowl, and those memes were already up. I was like,
yeah,
God damn, these people are fast.
yeah, they were
They waste
quick.
no time.
Yeah, but yeah, overall I thought it was a lot of fun, and you know what, I almost put Fenty product on like every day, whether it's lotion or like this lip shit that Carolia has. So I'm in.
Is that Rihanna's brand? I'm not even
Yeah,
familiar. Okay.
yeah.
Maybe I should look into it. I think I was a little disappointed just because like I think we talked about last year, but last year's was I think one of the best Super Bowl halftime shows we've had in a long time. With
sure.
it was all Eminem's and Snoop and who
50.
else? 50 Cent. Yeah, and there was
Yeah.
someone
Yeah,
else.
I thought
was
that was a
Kendrick.
pretty good one too. And we had
Yeah,
that
it was a
party
great one.
here. So we had we had the sound system like
Mhm.
at 100.
Yeah.
It was Kendrick.
Kendrick, that's
Yeah.
that's who else. Yeah. So that halftime show was incredible. So like to follow it up with this was just a little disappointing, but it was still pretty good. I don't understand why people are hating on it so much. Let's see. The last thing I got to was a comedy special. You guys familiar with Andrew Santino? If you're not familiar with the name, you'd probably recognize him. He's Blake, you know Dave, the
Yeah,
show.
TV show.
He's the
Yeah,
he's the
FX.
manager with he's the ginger.
Oh, okay, yeah, that guy's funny.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
for
So
sure.
you might recognize him. He's been in a decent amount of stuff as of late. But his comedy special hit Netflix. It's called Cheeseburger, and it's pretty good, honestly. Like I was actually laughing through most of it. It was much more like his jokes were much more like borderline kind of like is he allowed to say those kind of things that than I was expecting. I didn't think he walks a line, and I don't think he ever crosses it fully, but it was like I just wasn't expecting that because I haven't heard a brand new special kind of come out that even besides Dave Chappelle that like tries to make those kinds of jokes. And I don't think he like was ever overly offensive or anything, but he was close to the line there, and I was like not expecting that. But it was overall pretty good. Really like that. Looking forward. There's been some good comedy specials on Netflix recently. I feel like some new up and comers have been like getting their full Netflix specials out, and it's good to see them getting the full treatment. Been a lot of new good comics that are popping up on these streaming services. All right, well that's it for my list. So that means we can go ahead and head into the main review segment of the podcast. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new, or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how the review segment works?
Are you asking for a rundown?
A little rundown.
You want a rundown?
Rundown.
I guess I could get you a rundown. If you're new, or maybe you've just
Sounds so sexual, and I don't know why.
Well, I didn't think it did, but okay.
That just the second time you said it, it just was like, okay, we're maybe saying rundown a little too much.
Well, now that we've drawn attention to it, no one will think
now
that it's sexual.
Yeah, of course. No, now it can't.
Anybody ready for a rundown?
Jesus Christ.
Anyways, on the Back Row Banter, our main review segment, being attacked by a dog at the same time. It's broken into two sections. There's a non-spoiler section, and then there's a spoiler section. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the IMDb page, who wrote it, who directed it, who starred in it, all that good stuff. We'll go over the IMDb summary itself, decide if it's good or not, and then we'll go around the squadron, decide if we would recommend this movie. It has to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And from then on, it'll be spoiler time. We'll go into any deeper thoughts we have on the movie itself or any big plots, spoilers or anything. I'm still being attacked by a dog. I apologize, listeners. Our deeper thoughts on the movie itself. And if you don't want to have it spoiled for you, please do come back, because we're going to rank the movie on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. Adam, tell me about Straight Outta Compton, please.
I would love to. This is a somewhat new movie, 2015. Not I'm saying that out loud, is 8 years ago, and I feel old. rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 27 minutes and an IMDb rating of 7.8 out of 10. Directed by F. Gary Gray, written by Jonathan Herman, Andrea Berloff, and there's another credit here. Jonathan Herman, Andrea Berloff. Story by S. Lee Savage, Alan Wenkus, and Andrea Berloff. So, all that there. The cast includes. I'm gonna go with the main ones because there's a lot of characters. But we'll go with our main crew though. It's O'Shea Jackson Jr., Corey Hawkins, Jason Mitchell, Neil Brown Jr., Aldous Hodge, Marlon Yates Jr., and then of course Paul Giamatti, and a special shout out to Lakeith Stanfield, friend of the pod.
A friend of the show, yeah.
Friend of the pod, yeah.
Pod favorite.
Like I said, a lot of other characters. Those are the main ones, I would say. So we're going to leave it there. The IMDb summary reads as follows. The rap group NWA emerges from the mean streets of Compton in Los Angeles, California in the mid-1980s and revolutionizes hip-hop culture with their music and tales about life in the hood. That was... Okay, it was okay. It was like fine. Wouldn't say it was great summary. But like I can't hear you if you were trying to say something. Your mic might actually be muted. Check
audio down.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yes,
yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah, I leaned in to say it's like, yeah, not my favorite IMDb summary, but I mean we've seen worse.
Yeah, we've definitely had worse for sure. Well, to fill in a little bit or clear things up, this is the story of NWA. As the summary mentions, a hip hop group to kind of come up in the mid 80s. I would say it's pretty accurate to say they started like a hip hop revolution. I mean, I think the sound before and after NWA was definitely different, and they kind of set the tone for what like 90s hip hop would be, from my understanding of things. So yeah, I would say it's pretty accurate there.
On that.
Yeah. Come from Compton. This story, how long does this story go for? It's like 8 years?
86 to 93, I want to say.
Yeah. So seven or so years. So a decent amount of time. They go from kind of the beginning of the group. You kind of start off. It's not like you get origin stories for all three of them, like super big paths, but it's like you got understanding of who they are, and then they form the group, and then it's the high of their thing, and then it's all this everything, all the highlights of the group's careers, up until kind of where they ended off at 93, 94, around there. So 2.5 hours, there's a lot to cover. 8 years and 2.5 hours is hard to do, but this is what they gave us. How we feel in 8 years, man? I remember watching the Oscars. I feel like it was just like a couple years ago that this was getting a lot of Oscar attention and stuff like that. So kind of hard to think that was so long ago.
Yeah, it's definitely like one that snuck up on me in terms of like, holy crap, 2015. That feels.
It feels.
This movie feels way more recent, and I guess maybe that's
way more recent.
I wonder if we're gonna kind of start seeing that because we had the gap, the 2020 kind of gap where there's just like there hasn't been as many movies that have come out now as like maybe did in a calendar year back in 2015 or something. So I wonder if, because like I think what was another one, like did Fury Road come out in 2015 too? Is that the same year? So like
Fury
that
Road
feels
might have been
Brad Pitt
earlier
joint?
than that.
No, Mad Max.
No,
Mad Max Fury Road.
It is 2015. It is 2015.
Okay, so same year.
Oh wow, that's 2015.
Yeah.
Man, I would have guessed that was like 13, but okay.
Okay, we'll see. We have the opposite problem there. So I know nothing.
I was about to say, that also feels earlier than 2015.
So
I don't know why.
We know nothing.
We know nothing. Yeah, this was my first watch. Nathaniel, you said this was yours as well?
This was my first watch. Yeah, it was always one of those ones that I meant to get to, but just kind of slipped under the radar, I think. And then all of a sudden it's 8 years later and you haven't watched it yet. Now it's time to go.
Not too late. Never too late.
Nah, yeah, never too late. But yeah, I thought it was good. It was it had the follows the biopic line, right? Or like maybe I mean, we haven't really talked about this yet, I guess, on the podcast. We haven't really watched very many biopics, but like there is a stigma, I guess, if you want to say that the biopic, particularly the music biopic, has a certain plot trajectory that you follow, kind of thing, that I think Walk Hard basically lampoons perfectly and kind of like killed that genre for a while, I think, in some ways. Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes back to that, but it definitely, I think, encapsulates a lot of what what makes a biopic great. It gets down to the details, and I think this movie has enough details that keep it fresh and interesting and relevant enough to our generation in particular, that it carries my interest throughout the movie itself. So I think it has that going for it. I do think there are certain scenes where it's like it feels, and it may just be because it is O'Shea Jackson and stuff, but like it does somewhat feel like you can feel Dre and Ice Cube's like presence overlooking the movie in some ways, in that way, and like and by that I just mean sometimes their characters in how they interact and how they talk to people, particularly when like I think like Ice Cube's arguing for contract rights or anything like that. It's like this is how I would have done this argument, like perfectly. Like it's the I walked away from the argument 5 minutes later, like this is what I should have said, like version of it. If I had a chance to do this again, this is how I would have done everything. And it does feel like sometimes they're talking in that code, but I don't know. I do recommend it. It's a recommend for me, fresh off a watch.
Yeah, is the other first watcher. I would also recommend. This is, like Nathaniel said, one I wanted to get to. It slipped on the radar. I don't remember it being really on any streaming services for a while. Like it was on HBO at one point, but I haven't seen it on there or anywhere else in a while. And I had to log into Blake's Voodoo for this one. I don't even know if when I checked last week, I don't think it was streaming anywhere. And I think that's part of the reason why, if it's not something I'm like kind of scrolling by, there are so many movies that I am scrolling by that I like am constantly reminded to go and, if I want to watch them, that this is kind of just one that slips under that. But I like it overall. The runtime, it's tough. It got to me a little bit, but also, as I mentioned, 8 years in that amount of time is tough to pull off. So like I give them a lot of leeway with that. Obviously, I'm sure they could have, if they wanted to, added more to the story, and I think it's be hard to cut anything out. They do as much as they can with a reasonable runtime. There was parts of this movie. I think I want to talk about. I'll talk about this more in spoilers, but this just like felt like I was watching a movie while I was watching it. Like I'm just watching this movie, and I'm just constantly reminded, like, this felt like a movie. I don't know how to describe that beyond more or in more detail, but a lot of movies nowadays, the acting is so good, the cinematography, all this stuff. I'm usually thinking about those kind of things, but this one, I think it was the writing. Something about it was just like constantly, oh, this is how people talk in movies. This is scenarios and stuff that like things happen in just watching this, it stuck out to me that I was watching a movie, which is not what you want. You kind of want to be lost in the story or the characters and whatnot. And it was constantly taken out of that because of the writing or because of kind of the events of and how they portray them. So I'll talk about that more in spoilers. That was kind of my biggest thing, was just, it was hard to fully kind of get invested because I was just kind of constantly taken out of it. But overall, really enjoyed my time. It's a great story. All the characters are really good. And now I kind of just want to go listen to some NWA. So yeah. Blake, Ty, you guys have seen this before, and I don't know how many times you guys have or how long it's been, but what do you guys think this time around?
I think this is probably like my fifth or sixth.
Okay.
I saw it in theaters, and then I've watched it a couple more times since it's been out. But yeah, I have a deep appreciation for this movie. it's obviously got some very impactful cultural things that obviously we'll get into. But I some of this, like, this was in like the early 90s, mid 90s. This is like this is still when I was a kid, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I can fondly remember that NWA was one of like my first explicit CDs that I ever got. Kind of growing up on music and just kind of trying to figure out, like, as a young person, what kind of music I like and stuff like that. And NWA and all those guys played a lot into what I listened to when I was younger. Not like 10 or anything like that, obviously, but going into my teens and stuff like that. So I have a very fond appreciation for this movie. I think it's done very well. I think the casting is awesome. But yeah, overall, this is a recommend for me for sure.
Yeah, similar to Ty, I caught this in theaters in 2015, and I've seen it probably 2 or 3 times since then. I can kind of see Adam's point in terms of you're watching and you definitely feel like you're watching a movie. I think that's just part of kind of the biopic nature. And
It
I
is
guess
for
once you start
sure.
comparing this to the other biopics we've gotten, particularly like in the hip hop community, it's like night and day difference in terms of the film that they were able to give us on this opposed to like the fucking Tupac film they gave us. Right. So like overall I like it. I like the casting. Shay Jackson Jr. playing his father is awesome. There's even a few lines in there where you can tell he's like pretty much talking about himself.
Yeah, I thought
Himself
that was
as in like
interesting.
O'Shea,
Yeah,
but from
yeah, yeah.
Isaac's point of view.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. As well as this is one like I didn't even realize to like third watch. So my watch, not this one, the one before this, is that Snoop Dogg's actually played by Lakeith Stanfield.
Right.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
didn't even realize till like a year and a half ago. I was
I
like,
wanna,
oh shit.
yeah, I want to talk about that in spoilers if we can. There's just an interesting thing I noticed with him in particular, but we can talk about it later.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, overall, I like it. I like the cast now. This story of Eazy and Suge Knight as well, who's got some very questionable things like going on in that community at that time. And yeah, overall, we'll dive into it. But I would be a recommend. This is one of the better biopics we've gotten. I couldn't tell you how long.
I would agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, with all that being said, I think we're a recommend all around. So if you have not seen Straight Outta Compton, we're going to go ahead and head to the spoilers. So if you've not seen the movie, go ahead, check the episode description where I left a timestamp you could jump to, where you'll be taken to the movie ranking up upon our Entropy list. Nathaniel, spoiler time.
Spoiler. Shit goes down.
Shit goes down.
So Easy, you got
A lot of stuff goes down, man. Holy, we were just moving at a lightning's pace, so fast.
Yeah, that is something. There's like a couple times I felt like in the movie where, and I'm again coming off of it almost immediately. So like there was a couple transitions where it was just like, okay, that's the end of the story for now, and then it was just like, and we pick up here. But there was like no good, or there wasn't a particularly great reason to stop what was happening and the action at that point, and instead pick up a year later or something like that. So I definitely feel like that is like, I guess that's kind of what I mean when I feel like you feel the presence of the creators in the movie itself, rather than just like experiencing it as a complete piece, you know.
What I used, I think you were away for my non-spoiler summary here,
Sure.
or thoughts of I use the term like it feels like I'm watching a movie when I watch this. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just kind of breaks the suspension of disbelief if you want to go as basic as that. Like, yeah, you are aware of the film.
Yeah, exactly. I think to me that leans a lot on the writing. It's just like a lot of lines. I was just like, it's either repetitive. They repeat a lot
There
of
was
things
one
over
where
and
it
over.
was like I legitimately was like, did the film just skip itself?
Just
Like,
skip. Yeah, was it with Jerry
yes, yeah,
and
it definitely was.
Eazy-E? And he
Yes,
was yeah,
that
I know they're sitting down at a table across from each other, and he says this exact same thing twice. It's
yeah.
like they copy and paste the line. I had the exact same reaction. I was like, did I just rewind by accident?
Yeah, I know which one
And
you're talking about.
yeah, and like that's when that wasn't even the first time I noticed it, but that was like definitely the worst of it, and it didn't really get all that much better. Like the second half of the movie is actually worse in writing than the first half, I think.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
for
what it
sure.
is, but it just feels like it fell off after that. Especially like one of the last lines between Dr. Dre and Suge Knight. He goes, "I'm gonna go create my own thing," and then he goes, "Well, if you do, what are you gonna call it?" Aftermath. And then that's it. I'm just like, that's not this is a very tense scene, and that's not how that would end between those two kind of characters. Not only that, but like there's no reason really to include the name of his new label, in my opinion. Like if you're a Dr. Dre fan, you already know it. He doesn't really have to say it. It felt like they were trying to give fan service, but I don't think we don't really need that fan service. Or if you want to give it in a different way. Like show me to show Dr. Dre creating Aftermath in some way. Don't just tell me. I mean, there's a lot of just like
Right.
show don't tell in screenwriting and movies and stuff, and this was just a lot of tell and tell. And a part of that is just a symptom of the fact that they have to cram so much into such a little time. And like it's I can't really blame the writers too much because they have to just kind of like as they're jumping between there's a lot of jumps here, sometimes up to a year or multiple years in between when we see these characters, and you kind of just have to like give information in a certain scene in a certain amount of time so that way we get all the information we need from this time period and we can progress the movie forward. Either you don't have you don't have the luxury of kind of like slowing things down and showing things or giving the smaller character details that kind of would maybe help us connect a little bit more. So you kind of just have to give the information as fast as you can, be efficient with it, get in, get out, and like so that leads to a lot of kind of like just basic lines and basic dialogue, which is just unfortunate because I feel like these characters and this story has a lot of potential to be a lot deeper than it was shown, and that's just kind of that's just a creative choice they made. Because what I was thinking of during this while watching this was if you want to talk about another biopic, I'm thinking of the Michael Fassbender Steve Jobs biopic, and that's kind of just told in the two parts, right? Or is it 2 or 3 parts? 3 parts?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. There's like it jumps it just kind of focuses on like 2 or 3 parts of his career. And there's a decent amount of time jump between them, but they could have done something along those lines. Why don't we just see the start of NWA? Why don't we see them at the height and then the breakup, and then why don't we see them at the end or something like that? Like we could have broken up like that potentially. It's a little bit harder. Obviously, it's not 1-to-1. You can't do the same thing with one character in Steve Jobs that you can do with the 5 characters of NWA. But just along those lines, like they chose to tell the story like this and include the information they did when they could have maybe either been more selective or went about it a different way. And what we ended up getting was just, I think, too big of a task to handle in a very nuanced and effective way that I think the story could have been handled. But still, overall, fine. It's not like this is bad, but it's just not. The writing kind of hinders the quality of it for me.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's this. It hits this weird sweet spot where like I know why like I can understand why and recognize why it would get like Oscar buzz and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just seems so kind of at odds with itself in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think about it in terms of themes, it's kind of like, is the themes supposed to be that they all kind of sold out but they just did it at different times and everyone realized that they were kind of selling out for it and they should have just kept it about the music? But if that's the case, like that really I feel like trails off at the end and gets caught up with the death of Eazy-E and everything, and it just it like it felt like it had the bones right, but it just didn't like get the fleshy bit around the story correct.
Sure.
Something's kind of missing between the structure and the what story they chose to tell, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, which just leaves me with, with the characters and with the actors themselves and the performances to kind of go from and to dig into, which, was good and serviceable, I think. So, Tyler brought up O'Shea playing his father already, and I think Blake brought it up as well too. And yeah, he's very good in his kind of, I think this was his debut movie. But I think he's really good. Like Keith shows up as Snoop. We brought that up. He was great. I think it's I know his last name's Mitchell. Is it Jason Mitchell that plays Eazy-E?
Yeah, I believe so.
He's really good in this as well too. But I had a weird soft spot for MC Ren in this film. Like I don't know, there was just something about him. Who I found out was the guy who played Hawkman in Black Adam, who like is completely unrecognizable.
I
in
didn't even
this.
piece that together.
Yeah,
I
and
never
I was
really
like,
thought about that.
I thought he was great in this. Like I don't know. I thought he like was really doing a lot with the character. But then like, and like maybe this is just like is my ignorance showing and my bias, I guess, or whatever, that I can only connect it. But like there were certain times where I was watching it and I was just like, damn, The Wire's a good show. And like it just brought me right back to there again, like because maybe it was going for that level of realistic storytelling, and I guess kind of like, I guess maybe, and again, I'm coming into this having just watched the movie before we started this, but there was the moments that stuck out for me in this film were the things when you as an outside observer could be like, how the fuck could a band write a song called "Fuck the Police" and get away with it, kind of thing. And then they show you they do a very good job of putting you in the position of the band and what they were having to deal with at that time, and to where like something like that became created, and in part of that. And it did, and it wasn't overly emotional. It wasn't like, melodramatic about it. It wasn't like kind of, it was that gritty realism that put me into the mindset of like, oh, this reminds me of like the Wire style storytelling of, I understand why these people are making these choices and why these people would make these choices or where they come from and that kind of thing. But then just didn't stick the landing as well. And I think that's what I'm responding to. So in its best moments, it brought me into complete, I felt like, understanding with its characters and understanding their motivations and what's going on at any point. And I think that's its best strength, but it just kind of falls a little bit towards the end in some ways. It becomes way more, as Adam would say, noticeable, and you're watching a movie kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I completely agree with you in terms of the realism in it. And I think even the characters, or I guess they're real people, right? It's kind of weird because it's a biopic.
Right, yeah.
They account for that in real life. And that's the scene that I'm on right now, is where they're at the studio for the first time. And they have like those East Coast rappers come in, they kind of get into it, they argue, they kick them out, right? And they're okay, like
HBO.
There goes the talent, Dre. Like, what are we gonna do? You know? And they're okay, we'll just make the song ourselves. And they're all like, well, like, I'm fucking poor, bro. I don't even have a car. And like the only person who has money and who's doing all the things behind the scenes is Easy. So they're okay, like, how about you go in there and make the song? You know what I mean? And I think that just kind of shows like how grounded it is, well, is, to your point.
Which, I mean, I remember being in 6th grade and hearing Boys in the Hood for the first time and being like, what is this? This is completely different to anything I'd ever heard. Like,
that's funny because now that you say that, and when I was watching this too, it took me back to, I forgot what grade, and I want to say it was like middle school or so. Maybe like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, to the point where like I was just like deep diving on like hip hop, and then I came across NWA as well, and I was like, is this just like a turning point in like adolescence of just like when you like start to hear music like dated before you?
Right.
And I remember hearing this, and I was like, this is fucking awesome, but it doesn't sound like anything else I've heard before. But yeah, so that's funny. I just want to throw that in there.
I remember I had a vivid memory. I must have like just been sitting after school one day and like come across something on like A&E or something that was like the complete history of like hip hop or something, and I'm like
Yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
13, and I just sat down and just watched for like 3 hours. Like it went into like Suge Knight and like into like Snoop and
Yeah.
all of that
Crazy
stuff.
guy, by the way.
Yeah, like
Crazy
everything about it,
guy.
and like I don't remember it all now. I wish I could find it. It was probably like on a Bravo show or something like that back when there was
Sure,
like
sure.
educational things on TV, folks. But like, yeah, it was so weird. Anyways, but yeah, and again, like it just brought me right back to that point again. So there is something very emblematic, I think, about the music, and it is very much a sense of place too. You know.
Yeah, there's one thing I wanted to point out that now that since we're kind of like deep diving into this, that some people were kind of on the side of even prior to this movie, but this movie almost reassured them of that. Is obviously the entire Eazy-E passing, rest in peace, and how he passed away from AIDS, HIV. But there are some people who think in Suge Knight's a totally different animal. I don't even think he's portrayed as
He's a fucking monster.
badly and corrupt as he should be in this film. For those of you who don't know, but there are people who think like they didn't really see Eazy-E get sick till that kind of that night in the studio where they kind of beat him up, and people think that that was like injected into him, right? So that is kind of something as well that's I don't want to say a rumor, but I guess kind of a story or a narrative that's been around this as well. For
Yeah,
those
a
of you who don't
legend,
know.
an urban legend.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
That's insane. I'd never even heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to that whole kind of early rap era with like Tupac and Snoop and Suge and Dre and Ice and all these guys, there's a ton of rumors that and like conspiracy theories that have gone around on like what actually happened between like Biggie and Tupac and like
For sure.
who actually had beef with who and who actually shot who and what actually happened in a lot of those moments behind closed doors. And so I think that's one thing that interests me about this movie so much is you actually get to see a lot of the stuff that did happen to them. And it's crazy to think that the strong racial presence that was still happening in the early 90s and kind of the mid 90s and how blatant some of those cops were and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the things that stuck with me so much when I originally had watched this in theaters, that you really kind of forget sometimes that it's like that close. Like that's not that long ago. Like that's in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And I'm only 32 years in, so it's pretty crazy, but it's very powerful, and it's still powerful to the day that I watched it now. And it's very, very interesting, and it's a good point of view to kind of see.
Yeah, the thing that I wasn't that familiar with was the relationship and like kind of the timing of the Rodney King thing that happened in LA back then. Because I've obviously heard of that story, but I didn't really kind of understand the context of it and what was kind of like at least the full context of it, especially in relation to this story. So that was something that I kind of not caught me off guard, but I was surprised to see in this because I didn't really know really even the time period that it happened necessarily. I thought it was a little later than it ended up being. So that was something that I just kind of noticed and was like, damn, okay, so that definitely makes sense. The 90s were I mean, it gives context for why they were creating the music they're creating. And you're right, Ty, it's really not that long ago, which is kind of scary.
Wild.
Yeah.
A lot of good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say something you touched on earlier, where definitely the performances stood out to me a lot. I think, as you said, you're kind of left kind of latching on to performances as like your only option to, not only option, but like the thing that you're kind of attached to the most. But I think they all do the best they can. But again, I think they're held back by the writing. They don't have the best lines to give, and you have Paul Giamatti, who is just trying his best,
Chewing some scenery,
trying his damnness, doing the Lord's work. Love that man. But I think all of them were really held back by the writing because they were giving great performances, but when you kind of hear what they're saying, it's all just very straightforward and basic, and that's just unfortunate. But what were you going to say, Nathaniel, before I cut you off?
I was just gonna say I think there's a lot of great scenes in this movie, but not necessarily a lot of great like sequences together, that kind of
Mm.
thing. Like I'm thinking in particular, I think the Ice Cube introduction is really strong, where the kids throwing up gang signs out the car window, and the gang
great
members
scene.
pull them over, and get up on the bus itself, and they're like, but who is one of my favorite characters in fiction, which is the gang member that tells the kid, like, you don't know what you're talking about, like, this isn't the life for you. Like, recognize, has that weird like recognition of like, you're in a different life, don't even just try and mess with it, and then like keeps to the code kind of thing. It's one of my favorite characters in fiction,
For sure.
and just as a nice little reminder there of what reality is outside the school bus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of great scenes, but they don't always kind of mesh together to build up, to something a lot more satisfying. I think.
Yeah.
But,
To kind of double down on that though, I agree. It's not very cohesive, but I think that's just the reality of telling a story that's taken place almost a decade.
yeah,
But in terms of just the individual scenes that were good, the bus scene I do like a lot. I forgot what he says in the end, but something that always makes me laugh. So you better gangbang those books. Some of it is funny as hell. That's funny, as well as the scene where Ice Cube, he's meeting with like the news reporter at his house.
yes,
And he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
that
sorry,
scene's
what
great
was your
too.
name again?" Brian. He's like, "Brian, eat a dick, Brian. Get the fuck out of the house." The way that's delivered makes me laugh every
good.
time, man.
yeah. I definitely liked that. That was like a little bit, and then the scene earlier after the Detroit press conference, when like the press are like all like giving him questions, and they all have like the perfect answers. That was another one of those moments where I was just like, oh, okay, boys, like I get it. I get where we're going here, but is that really what happened here? Because we probably have the footage. Like, we could go back there if we need to.
Yeah, definitely some cherry-picked moments or cherry-picked rose-colored glasses to kind of go back and look on these scenes with. But for the most part, I didn't think anything was like too out there unrealistic.
You got to have a movie, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Blake said, you're telling a story over a 10-year period, and you have basically 5 to 7 different members of NWA that you could pick from. You got to really focus on at least 3 that you know about, and you have to choose. Each one of them is going to have a lifetime of stories. You have to choose which one you're going to pick and choose together to make something that says something at the end of the day. And I think for the most part they succeed. But it's just not quite over the line,
Yeah. One thing that's I think interesting, I think it's kind of the movie's biggest strength and also a little bit of a weakness is like I don't feel like you have one main character to follow from NWA. It feels like they do distribute the story pretty evenly between Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre. The other members were kind of a little bit secondary. Those are definitely, I think, the main 3. But I like the fact that they don't give any one of them kind of an edge as far as like this is the person you should be rooting for. They kind of give it more. It's kind of even. You understand all 3 of them and their backgrounds and whatnot. But also like there are towards the end of the movie, I'm kind of like, all right, well, who am I supposed to be rooting for? Because I don't have one clear person to root for. I'm not sure 100% that I'm rooting for any of them, or like it seems like things can go bad, or any one of these characters could go bad. Like I don't know if any of them are going to stay. Virtuous is a little bit like too much of a word, but you know what I kind of mean. Like, are they going to stay on the good side of things or whatnot? So that was something I couldn't decide if I really liked or really hated, but I thought about it more. I kind of like that, but it doesn't. I wish I kind of had a little bit more of like a one true good guy through all this, but maybe that's the point. Maybe none of them were like true good guys. They're all kind of a little messed up for some of the things that happened, or their side of things. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some selective editing, as there always is with any biopic.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? At that point, is what it is, I guess, in some ways, right?
Yeah. Well, fellas, any other big things to mention here from Straight Outta Compton? Are we ready to put her up?
A lot of
Throw
good,
it there.
lot of good
That's all
hits.
I got.
Some great, great
Oh,
Yeah,
songs.
dude, the
For sure.
soundtrack. The soundtrack's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sneaking that in there, Nathaniel.
Not a
Have the
problem.
Credits
Yeah.
and soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a lot of. I do like the Detroit show. I think that's a really good kind of like little peak for the NWA career, at least, obviously. And I do think it's kind of funny that like like a lot of times it'll be like, oh hey Dre, I just showed up and I got this new track. Why don't you take a listen to it here? Oh, I was just working on something real quick. Let me just like spit
Yeah.
over the top real quick, and then it's just
a
like
fucking banger.
like yeah, immediately into incredible song like
Yeah.
and it's like okay, yeah, we get that too, but it happens like 4 times of like that's the plot of how songs are made in this movie.
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yo, I've been working on some new lyrics, guys. Let me get in there real quick.
Yeah. Let me just take a turn in the booth real quick.
Yeah.
And then fuck the police is there in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I'm ready to get it ranked. Let's rank this guy.
All right, let's put her up. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead, throw up Straight Outta Compton up upon our HP list, our big list of all the movies we review, all compared to one another. If you want to see the list for yourself, it's linked in the episode description. All right. Tyler, are you ever gonna go see Knock at the Cabin? Do you have any plans?
Not anytime this month.
Okay. Blake, you didn't mention on what we're watching, so I'm assuming you have not.
Yeah, no,
gotten
I
to it.
didn't get a chance to see it, but I do. But I tough at this point though. I do think I'd prioritize seeing Infinity Pools over Knock at the Cabin. So
Yeah. I was just
we'll
wondering in
see.
case we were able to put a Knock at the Cabin on the entry list, but if not, like that's not that big of a deal. Well, regardless, Straight Outta Compton. What?
So this is gonna fall pretty hard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not any fault of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the closest thing I think we have right now is probably Blind Spotting in a sense.
Why is that? I was having the exact same thought.
I don't know. I think
I'm following you though.
I think it's
Yeah, I'd
for
follow
me.
you
It's
too.
more or less that like is Blind Spotting like a biopic? Has that happened to someone? Probably.
And I guess there is the spoken word element to it as well too, huh?
And
Yeah, there's some hip hop and Blind
and
Spotting.
so there's a lot of music inclusions there, but I like this better than I like Blind Spotting, and I think it's because it has a little bit more of a nostalgia factor for me. And I think it's got they're kind of on like the same message too. But I think this is a little bit more impactful for me. So I'm going to put it above Blind Spotting. It's going to be 91, and I know it's going to be all of our pretty much hard stop on the Descent because the Descent is just way too low. It's
For
way
sure.
too good to be that low. So yeah, I'm going to say 91. I'm just going to let it rip.
All right. Pretty valid.
I'm gonna put 92.
I'm also gonna do 92.
I like Blind Spotting better than this.
I also like Blind Spotting better than this.
Fair. I figured that one would come from Adam. I think I'm pretty close to what Tyler's thinking. I do want to push it up a tad bit, but having the Descent there is difficult. But then like I see Eternals and Black Widow, and I'm just killing me. So it's hard, right? When as the, kind of usually how it goes on the Entropy list. But I think for saving grace, I can't do it. I'm gonna put it below the Descent as well. So I'm gonna go 91.
91.
Yeah.
All right, all of us pretty close together.
I wonder what it's gonna be. Even that one out.
Well, it's 91.5. So we could tie break it with blind spotting. Do we want to do a Back Row Banter tie break before we do IMDb tie break? I'm in favor, of course, of putting it below. I know we're 2-2 here, basically. Do you, Blake or Ty, want to? Do any of us want to give to either side? Put it above or below? I'm pretty
I'd rather have it
strongly.
above.
You'd rather have it above. I'm pretty strongly below. Okay, I think me and
Nathaniel, your
Nathaniel.
tiebreaker.
I think we're gonna be split.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I think it's not the content of the movie; it's the movie itself. I gotta put it below. I have to have it below blind spotting. I think.
All right, take it to IMDb.
Straight Outta Compton is 7.8.
And blind spotting, unfortunately, is 7.4.
7.8 is pretty high. I didn't think this movie.
That is pretty high. That's very generous.
I was thinking like a 7.2.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Well,
I was too. But hey, IMDb
has
speaks.
spoken.
IMDb don't miss, baby.
Yeah.
They got a few misses for sure.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one, Ty.
Still Bezos at the end of the day, folks.
Hey, I'll be
All right.
honest. Now that we got our own list, like people miss. We got some misses.
Oh, for sure,
Mhm.
for sure,
Sure,
bro.
Yeah, that's
We
fair.
got a handful of those.
All right.
You're not
Well,
wrong.
Straight Outta Compton locked in at 91, below The Descent and above blind spotting. Fantastic. Blake, I heard you like Marvel movies. No?
I'm not even gonna say anything this time.
He's here. He's here, so he doesn't get fined.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what we got next week.
yeah, that's what we got next
I
week.
fucking knew it, man.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Quantumania, the kickoff of, what is this, phase 5? Phase 673? I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot of phases. It's a lot of Marvel movies, but here's another one for you. Expectations going in here, fellas? Excited?
Not gonna lie, pretty low.
Medium.
Yeah, I am so indifferent.
I'm in the
towards this
middle of the
movie.
ballpark. I kind of hope that this is good, but even like the first Ant-Man, I'm not like overly fond about. Like they're not bad, but I'm not like, yo, they're so good.
Yeah. I hear you.
Like I am on some of the Marvel content. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just I hope it's good, but I won't be surprised if it's bad.
I do hope it kind of kicks off a little bit more of a stronger through line for the Marvel movies than we've gotten out of Phase 4. All the Phase 4 ones are pretty disjointed.
Yeah.
For the most part, besides setting up things up for like Young Avengers, which has been pretty obvious that they're doing. Besides that, there hasn't been like a major through story, and looks like it's going to kick that off. So hopefully it's good.
Yeah. If this is anywhere better than Wakanda Forever, it's a W.
I don't know if it will be.
I don't know if it will be either, but if it is, it's a W.
It is, yeah. If it is, it's definitely W. Anything that's better than Wakanda Forever, I would say, is a W.
From recent
pretty
content.
good.
Right. I don't think my expectations aren't lower than like me going in to see like Eternals or Black Widow. So
Mhm.
I think it will be better than those two, but I guess we'll have to see where it lands post Endgame in the Marvel rankings.
Facts.
Yeah. Well, see Ant-Man and the Wasp this weekend for our review next week. Nathaniel, do we have a 5-star review for the pod? That
We do have a 5-star review. Did we do the Midsummer one recently? I can't remember.
No.
I'm trying to
I
get
don't
it.
think so.
Okay, so this one is from Luke M. Courtney, who says Midsummer is an amazing ... So it could be amazing movie, amazing choice, amazing pick. Don't know. Amazing episode, maybe. Who knows? That the title is too long. But he gave us 5 stars, and he says, really enjoyed listening to this episode. So I'm assuming he's talking about the Midsummer episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, Midsummer is amazing. We agree with
It
you,
is.
Luke. But that's it, folks. If you want to hear your review read out on the podcast, you can do so. Just give us 5 stars and review us in Apple Podcasts. It's pretty easy. You can say whatever you like.
It's not that hard.
You can be fun. You can be nice. You can be mean. You can be funny. Just don't be evil. and we'll read it out for you. Simple as that. Adam, get us out of here, homie.
All right. Well, yeah, that's going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp our review for next week. If you want to leave us a 5-star review, you can do that. If you don't want to do that, you can send us an email with any questions, comments, concerns, grievances, anything of that sort. Maybe like a little end of the show question for us to answer. We always love doing those. Send us some more. But yeah, anything you want, send it to our email at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube. We're just Back Row Banter. And then once you've done all of that, share the podcast. Also, make sure to do that. A friend, a family member, fellow band member, or gang member, whoever it is, doesn't really matter as long as they're clicking download and helping us grow. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Yo, Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things, rating things out of 5 stars. Anything that I genuinely feel deeply for, I'll probably put a review on. Yeah, that's all I got this time. Popcorn, we'll go Tyler.
Twitch.tv/ultrabajo87 and Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd are all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitch and Letterboxd. Not Twitch, Twitter and Letterboxd at.and. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. My other podcast, Sandpiper Tapes, which friend of the pod, Gundy, gave a warm review of this week. She's so it's still good, folks. Go check it out. Sandpiper Tapes. It's my other podcast. If you like spooky stuff, you may like it. Yeah. Adam, get us on out of here.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Aish24, on Twitch at twitch.tv/Aish, and on Letterboxd. I'm just Aish. I think that's it for episode 135. Thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far into the episode. You're my favorite kind of listener, and we really do appreciate it. Join us for our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania next week. We'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for stopping by, and I'm sorry that I missed last week. I missed you all, so thank you for coming back.
Okay.
And if next week's, or if last week's episode gets more downloads than all of our other episodes, I'll be so fucking mad. So don't even worry about last week. So download it, but just don't listen to it. You know, it's one of those things.
Jesus.
Just upvote.
But,
Give it 5 stars.
I mean, me and Nathaniel had a great conversation.
I mean, I listened to it. You guys talk shit. No,
we had a good conversation about Knock the Cabin. We had fun talking shit about you, the three of us. It was great. Yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you and anything you do to help us grow. And just don't take life for granted, because things can get taken away pretty quick. And we'll BRB.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for the support as always. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to continue a podcast if it wasn't for you. As we always say, as long as you're at least doing one thing you love every day, I'd say you're living the right way. So we'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
So my Halo team placed top 32 on Saturday, and the second tournament on Monday, top 24, and that includes the pro teams, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Dope.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I got accused of cheating, and a dude blocked me on Twitter because of it.
Why did you cheat?
Well, I've had just this ripping insecurity through most of my life that I made adequate. So no, it's well, basically we played them in the tournament. We matched up with them on Saturday in the tournament, and it's best of 5s. They won 3-0 on Saturday pretty handedly. We didn't play the best, but then I ended up playing on my PC over the weekend for the tournaments for this past week, because PC, as I came to learn this weekend, just has a huge advantage. There's a lot of input delay on Xbox that there's on PC, and PC has a little bit better ping priority for the servers, so it'll make your stuff registers more. So like I was at a very big disadvantage playing on Xbox. So I was playing off my PC, but then for the time that we played them, I still had my Ethernet running through my Ethernet switch. And I was like, I don't really need the Ethernet switch anymore. All I need to have internet is my PC. And I wonder if the switch is dividing up my internet a little bit more than it needs to be. And so after we lost to them on Saturday, I was like, fuck it, let me unplug my Ethernet switch and plug my PC directly into the wall. Felt a lot better. And when we played them again on Monday, I did the same thing. And because of that, I was able to play much better against them. And then they thought because of that, I was cheating in some way, that I just became that much better overnight, when it was really like that's how much internet makes a difference on the game, is being hardwired directly in and splitting it up and through an Ethernet switch just gave me that much of an edge. A little bit, make up a little bit of a difference, and we were able to play much better.
Well, good, and fuck them.
Yeah, in fact, that team they just tweeted out like earlier today that they decided to basically break up and look for other options for some reason, which is odd to do a week before a tournament, but to each their own.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm playing hardwired. That's how I play. So here, I mean, granted, I don't really play anything PS5 where I play competitive, but my Xbox is hardwired here on my desk. Even when I was at my parents' house, my Xbox was hardwired into like a Google like hub home. Like, I'm talking about the little 3-packs you can buy that are like different routers.
Sure.
It's routed into those. But yeah, man, I always hardwire when I can.
Yeah, I say hardwired.
It's just FPS. It just makes it so much fucking easier.
Everything outside of this room is on Wi-Fi, but everything inside of here is all hardwired.
Yeah, I hardwire almost everything. Like my TV is on Wi-Fi, but my Apple TV is hardwired, which makes it's so nice not having to worry about buffering. Like I never have to worry about buffering on anything. Having that kind of thing hardwired is really nice.
I could not for the life of me remember what I watched this week. Then I realized it was the fucking Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Like, what was that big event that took up time?
Kick this bitch off.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Give me one sec. All right, we will go in 3, 2, 1.